Continuing on with segment 2 of our quick, easy, and cheap Christmas ornaments. As I said earlier, we made the body in the first section. Now we're going to be doing the finial and icicle. Again, I've got a paper written up with pictures and more detailed instructions. If you're interested in this paper, just send me an email. It's GWA, that's Gwinnett Woodworkers Association, -Turner at hotmail.com. GWA-Turner at hotmail.com. As I said before too, the being quick, easy, and cheap, the cheap being the key part here, my material is going to be made out of 2x4. Can't get much cheaper, and when you're making something, you have to consider the time it takes to prepare the wood to put it on the lathe. So starting out with material like this, it doesn't take much to run through the table saw to make a block, 1.5 inch cube for the body, and a 7/8 inch cross-section stick, about 6 inches long for the finial and icicle. I'll get both the finial and icicle out of that one piece. Well, the ornaments are made up of 3 components. Well, here's what the ornaments look like. But they're made up of 3 components. We have the body that we made in the first segment, and then this segment we're going to make the finial and the icicle. The body has got a 1/4 inch hole through it with a cone, 45-degree cone, that matches up with a 1/4 inch tenon and 45-degree taper on the finial and icicle. So you can make the bodies one day and the finials and icicles another day, and then they'll all fit together. So this is what we're going to do today. I'm doing this segment. Start I thought you said you're ready.
Well, I haven't pushed the button yet. I didn't say action.
Oh.
You can't do it without an action.
So now you're going to have to edit all this conversation out, but go ahead.
Okay, we're going to mount the block of wood on the lathe. Again, I got about a 7/8 cross-section stick, about 6 inches long. I've marked the centers on both ends. And I just made a little divot in the center with the ice pick, or an awl. I'm going to just temporarily hold it in here, and using that same live center that used in the bodies, but I've now changed to the point that has the 1/4 inch shaft with a bit of a taper on it, and it's got a fixed point on it. So I'm going to put that in the center before I lock the chuck down. And again, the scroll ring needs to go away from me to tighten, so I'm going to put one in that hole and one in this hole here, and then just squeeze them together with one hand. Okay, so I'm going to, first thing I'm going to do is put a tenon down here on this end, and then I'm going to reverse it around in the chuck to give a firmer connection to what I've got right here in the chuck now. So I'm going to start out with a skew. This is the again the purple handled set from Harbor Freight. I rounded the short the heel. I've rounded that off for doing beads, and I've knocked the corners off the upper edge. And then instead of a straight bevel in there, I've got a bit radiused, like you can see with Alan Lacer and Richard Graffin. So the thing I want to use a skew for is I want to make a tenon about 1/2 inch long, and I'm just going to use the skew to give me a nice crisp edge over here. And I'm start with the handle low, and I'm going to let the pump handle action just raise the handle up, just to give me a good cut there for when I come in with the parting tool. Now the parting tool won't knock those corners off. That'll give me a nice defined corner there. So the parting tool I'm using is a diamond shape. Set the tool rest so that when I'm coming into the center, I'm holding the tool level. And running about 1500 RPMs. Now I just want to go down and just I want to make a tenon that fits the jaws that I got in this tin chuck. So I got a good round surface all the way around, and I'll be resting this shoulder right here will be resting on top of the jaws over here. So take that out and turn it around. Again, I need to loosen the jaws. I need to pull the scroll ring toward me to loosen the jaws. So I put one in that hole and one in that hole and squeeze them together. And now I've got, I need to move a long way instead of sitting there with a scroll chuck, turning the key multiple turns. I can just quickly, with my hand, to bring it down like that. Bring the tailstock back up and get it centered. And then there, and there, and squeeze it. Okay, so now we're ready to start the finial. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to round out the whole, cut the whole block down. I'm just going to do just enough down here to make room for the finial. I've got the RPM at about 1600. It might be a little bit oversized, but I just want to get it around to where I come in and put my tenon on there now. I'm going to form that 4¼ inch tenon on the that's going to fit into the body. And to gauge the 1/4 inch tenon, I've got just a 1/4 inch wrench that I'll use to gauge the size of the tenon with. And I just make the tenon about 1/4 inch, 3/16 of an inch long. And take the speed up to about 1800. Now, when I was making this tenon over here, I was more or less just pushing it straight in because I really wasn't concerned about the finish. Over here, I want to finish this a little bit better finish, so I'm going to start out with a peeling type of cut. And since that's a 1/4 inch there, I can get down to where I'm close to that. And then I can take the wrench and hold it over here. Just to where it just slips over. Now the wrench is slightly oversized. It's just slightly larger than a 1/4 inch. So that produces a tenon that will fit nice and snug inside the hole that I drilled with a 1/4 inch drill bit. So then the next thing is to create the 45-degree taper that's going to fit into the taper on the body. So I got the tenon that's going to fit in the hole, and now I need to make the taper that fits into that cone that was made into the body. I'm going to use a spindle gouge, set the height of the tool rest so I'm holding it level. This is a Robert Sorby spindle gouge, and I've got a fingernail grind, and the bevel on the nose is 45 degrees. Since I'm going to make a 45-degree cut on there, it's very easy. I just hold the tool so that it's perpendicular to the bed of the lathe, and just push straight in, and it's going to make a 45-degree taper. So I'm going to start pointing directly at the center on the very tip right there. So if I went in with it tilted like that, I would get a nice spiral cut back across like that. So I want to hold the tip so it's completely vertical. And then as soon as I start getting in, then I can rotate it a little bit and just push it straight forward. And then the way I gauge that, just to double check that I've got a 45-degree cut on there, I've got a little gauge that I picked up at a hobby shop, any hobby shop or most hobby shops that would have model building supplies. It's just a little aluminum square. And I'll just hold that up against, viewing down across, first make it, yes, right. So I look sight down across the face of my bevel and the angle on the square, and make sure that I've got, what I'm looking for is an angle here that's just slightly larger than 90 degrees, so that when I put the body on, it's going to hit out here on the outside edge, where if it's less than 90 degrees, it's going to hit down here somewhere, and then you're going to have a gap up here where it contacts the body. So if I sight down along there, I got this edge here touching here, and I just see a slight bit of gap down there at the bottom, so I've got a good gauge there, good angle. Now another benefit of doing it this way, no, I guess I didn't mention that yet. When I'm making my finials and icicles, I would say I don't think I've ever seen anybody doing it the way I do it. Every video or instruction I've seen, they start out with the finial in the block wood back here, or the icicle or finial, either one, and they start turning down here with no tailstock support. They start shaping the tip of the icicle, and then finish and polish that, and work their way back to polishing and finishing as they go, with no support out here on the end. Well, what I'm going to do is I turn it this orientation, and I'm going to have support for the tailstock and the headstock throughout the entire process. So that's why I'm starting down here with the base of the finial. Should show the finial on there. This is the finial I'm going to make. I'm going to start with it in there like that, with the base of the finial down there. Now, so another benefit of doing that, like I said before this, you can make the bodies one day and the finials and icicles another day. But say you wanted to make a finial and icicle that blended in with the contour, the shape of the body. I can put the body on there like that, bring the tailstock up like that, and I can turn it just like that and turn the finial to exactly match the contour of the body with it on there like that. So I'm not really concerned about that now. I'm just going to lightly mark the diameter of the body down there on my material. And I want to take it down that far. Or another way, I can just measure it with my, there's my caliper, and that is just slightly under 3/4 of an inch. So I'll turn this down to match that size right there. And we'll do that again with the spindle gouge. Okay, so I'm just going to trim that down until I get the proper diameter. And I'm coming in, I'm just contacting on the cutting. I'm not on the point. I'm just contacting it down here on the cutting edge about right there. And just with my hand, I'm just sort of pulling it like that across with my hand. That's pretty good. Okay, so now I like, when I make my finial and icicle, I like it proportionate to the size of the body. Using rule of thirds, since the body is 1.5 inches, a third of that, or that being 2/3, if 1.5 inch being 2/3, then 1/3 would be 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to come down here and go ahead and clean this down 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to measure from this is a part of the finial that's going to be showing. So I'm going to come down there 3/4 of an inch from there. So that's going to be the top of my finial. And the tip of the finial is going to have approximately a quarter inch bead on the top. And then that would leave about a 1/2 inch for this other element. And this element's called a scotia. Whereas a cove, the diameter here and the diameter here would be the same if it was a cove, but since obviously the diameters are different there, it's called a scotia instead of a cove. So I'm going to have a scotia element, and then a ball bead on my top element will be a little ball bead. So that's about a quarter inch. So I'm going to come up a 1/2 inch from here to here to mark the top of the scotia element. Okay, so since it's going to be a quarter inch, I'll use my parting tool to go ahead and cut that down to mark the extremity of the top of the scotia and to mark the size of the bead that'll be on the top. So that delineates the top of my scotia. So now I'm just going to I'm not going to take this any smaller here. I'm just going to scoop that out until I get back down to about that diameter down there. I want a nice crisp edge right there where that joins, where it meets that paper. And I'm just sort of scooping. I'm starting out with it pretty much vertical, and then as I go through, I'm going to push through it and sort of scoop the wood out. Okay, so I've got just a little bit slightly larger right there than down to my quarter inch. So I want the top of the scotia needs to be slightly larger than a quarter inch. So the next thing I want to do is I want to scoop it out now to form the scotia. And again, using the rule of thirds, I want the low part of the scotia to be about 1/3 of the way down from the top. So I'm going to switch over to the millimeter scale just to make it a little bit easier. And I've got my total millimeters there is about 12, so I'm going to come down 4 millimeters from the top and put a mark right there. And that's going to be the narrow part of my scotia right there. This was a Sorby Sovereign piece of steel. It was unhandled. I think it's called their Sovereign line, but it's 3/8 inch spindle gouge. I got a fingernail grind with about a 30-degree bevel on the nose. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to come back in here and I'm going to make a narrow part. It's sort of an eye. I just want it to be a bit narrower than the top up here. I'm just going to come back and just scoop out a bit right there like that. And then come back over here and come down, and I want a nice flowing curve right down to meet where that narrow part is at. like that. My narrow part down there is just sort of my eye. I just want it to be a bit narrower than the top of the element. And the narrowest part of there is about a third of the way down from this point here to there. So now I need to make some room to be able to get in there and form my bead. And this is going to be the icicle down here. I'm just going to take away some material here. Okay, I'm going to just the top of the scotia. I want to where it meets the ball to be. I don't know what that's called, but I just want to make a little bit of an indentation there. And now I'm going to switch over to another one. It's another 3/8 spindle gouge. It's still got the 30-degree taper, but it's a bit pointier than what this other one was. It allows me to get in a little bit tighter. You can see that this is the one on the left. This is what I'm going to be using now. It's just a little bit more pointy. So like that. Okay, so now I've got to remember I've still got pressure from the tailstock holding that up. So if this gets down too thin in here, the bearing on the tailstock is still being driven through that piece right there. So if I make that too thin, it's just going to twist it off. So I want to go ahead and get this sanded now before I take that any thinner down. That's about as thin as I want to go until I get it sanded and polished. Okay, we'll go through the same procedure we did with the body. I've got, it feels pretty good. We'll take a closer look at it. I don't have any real grooves there. So I think I'll start with 220 instead of 180. There isn't any real grooves there. It's pretty smooth. I'll start with 220. This thing I'll take forward and I just sort of fold it in, make a little bit of a cove or a round like that. And then get the speed down. I've got about 500. I just sort of match the shape of that scotia and just roll the paper around and smooth that off, and then I'll go just an edge, just touch the top of that, touch the top of the body or the ball. Okay, and then go to 320. Do the same thing. Okay, I'll put some sanding sealer on it. Sanding sealer's always got some stuff in it. It's always going to shake it up to get rid of the sediment on the bottom. Again, then just put the paper towel underneath of it and drizzle some on. Feels dry. Okay, then we'll continue on with 400. Block the view. I don't want to sand that edge off. I want to keep a nice sharp edge there. And we'll do the Scotch-Brite like. It's Peachtree Woodworking, their version. This is equivalent to the gray Scotch-Brite. It's about 600 grit. And then the white is about 800 grit. I'll put some friction polish on it. And I'm treating the friction polish just as some material to put on there. I'm not really treating it as a friction polish. Turn the speed up a little Okay, and then instead of trying to use it as friction polish and using heat to polish it, I'm going to use this Triple E compound. It's a buffing compound or polishing compound with some wax in it. Just go to a fresh paper and wipe off any excess. And then we're going to do some wax and put some wax on it. Just using a Kiwi neutral shoe polish for wax. Turn the speed a bit more for that. Okay, so that's polished on there. Now we're ready to part it off. We're going to use the same, find it. Okay, go back down to about 1800 for parting it off. Now, as I said, if I continued running it with the pressure on the bearing here, once I get down to much thinner than that, it would not be able to support driving that bearing, and it would just twist off, probably tear a big chunk of wood out of the center and the top of my finial. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back the tailstock off so that the bearing is just a slip fit like that. I'm going to be able to stop the live center. But I've still got support. The point is still in there, and it's still there. It's still got good support where it's not going to flex on me, but I've got support out there on the tailstock end. So now I just start coming down here and just whittling away at it. And if you do it with enough finesse, just wiggle a little way at a time, you can get it separated and have a very good surface there on the top. Well, I grabbed it and it twisted off. So I just got a little bit of a tip there on the center. It'll be easily to be able to sand that off. And I'll finish that off after we get the icicle done. But there's the finish you have on our finial. Okay, we just finished up with the finial, and now I'm going to the remainder piece of wood here. I'm going to do the icicle out of that. First thing I need to do is I need to clean this off, give me a little flat surface there that's at least 1/4 inch diameter to bring my tailstock up against it. Okay, now give me plenty to rest the tailstock against. And again, I'm letting the tailstock, since the tailstock, well, there's always a bit of free play in the tailstock, so I'm letting the tailstock find its center where it wants to be at, and then I latch it down and bring the rest of the tailstock in to support it. So then, just repeating the stuff we did on the finial a while ago, the first thing I need to do is make a 1/4 inch tenon, and then to do that, I'll use the parting tool and my 1/4 inch to gauge the 1/4 inch tenon. Got the speed at about 1800 RPMs using the diamond parting tool again. And then again make the 45-degree taper. Again, holding the tool level. I want it to be level with the center of the tool rest. I've got to raise the tool rest up just slightly. Okay. Starting out the tool directly level, pointing directly toward the center. Just come back and I'll just get started on the wood, and then just push it straight in. I'll rotate it just slightly. So I'm cutting down here on the bottom edge. If you leave it completely vertical, you really don't have a good cutting surface there. So I just leave it vertical until I get it started. I get a bit of a bevel there. Then I roll it around and just push it straight in. Check our angle. And again, I'm just sighting down the bevel there, just to make sure that my angle is just slightly more than 90 degrees, and that's good there. And then again, we're going to want to come down to measure the diameter of our. I think I was using this body earlier, so we'll use this body to size the finial. Now this one I made a little bit smaller, remember, because I was trying to get it rounded out. So this is going to be a little bit less than 3/4, a little bit. So we got it right there. So it's So now we'll bring that down to that diameter. Okay, so then we'll go ahead and round the rest of them off. Just make it a little bit quicker. I'll use this continental gouge again to make that round. And if I coming in this way, I would get down here and I would tear the fibers out, so to give me a good sharp edge there on the end, so to give me a block so the fibers don't get torn out. I'm just going to come in with the skew and make a bit of a plunge cut or a V cut, like I did earlier. That way, when I come in with this tool coming all the way down there, it won't tear out the. Otherwise, I'll be left with tear out stuff like that down here, and I still want that support on those shoulders right there. Okay, now going on the rule of thirds again, and this time I want the body to represent 1/3 and the icicle to represent 2/3. So the body is 1 1/2, so twice that is 3 inches. So my icicle is going to be 3 inches long. And again, I'm going to measure from the outer diameter of my taper there, and that's going to be the end of my icicle there, and I want to leave about 1/4 inch for the flame on the bottom. So that's going to be this is going to be the bottom of my scotia curve. Now the icicle is going to be made up of the top element. I'm going to have a scotia element on the top, a ball in the center, and a scotia element on down here, and then the flame on the tip. So this mark represents the bottom of my scotia, and then this is going to be the bottom of the finial, and that's going to be my flame. And then so I'll go down and I'll cut that down to 1/4 of an inch again, just to delineate the bottom of the scotia element. And I'll take that down to 1/4. Okay, now for the finial, well, finial, they didn't really do that on the finial, but specifically on the icicle. When you're making an icicle, I like the looks of it anyway, each element, as it goes down the icicle, should be smaller in diameter. So you don't want an element down here that's bigger than an element up here. So to put that in concrete more or less, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a taper from here down to here, so that'll force my elements all to be a bit smaller than the one above it. So I'm just going to use the skew to cut this down to a taper. And one of the reasons I'm using the skew for that is I want a nice clean surface here all the way down, because my elements that may be the finished diameter of some of the elements, so I don't have to come back and do a lot of sanding, and so I got a good, nice, smooth surface there to start working on. So again, on the rule of thirds, I want my ball to be 1/3 of 3 inches is 1 inch, so I want the center of my ball, which is the middle element, to be 1 inch down. And the diameter at that point is just over 1/2 inch. But if I cut I don't want it to be a complete ball. I just want to have it just show the sort of impression of being a ball, but it's not completely. Oh, there we go. So I'm going to go away from that center line from each side. It's a 1/2 inch diameter, so I'm going to go away from the center line. A 1/16 less on both sides, so I'm going to come about 3/16 on each side of that line. So my ball from top to bottom is only going to be 3/8 instead of a 1/2 inch. The diameter here is 1/2 inch, but I don't have room, or I don't want to be able to go all the way down to make a complete ball. Okay, and then the next one is down here is this being the scotia. The bottom of that is I've got the bottom element there is right at 39 millimeters. So I'm going to come up 13 millimeters from the bottom. That's going to be the narrow part of that scotia. This being up here is 21, so I'm going to come up 7 millimeters there, and that's the narrow part of that scotia, that's the narrow part of that scotia. Okay, so I'm going to use a different skew here. This is a Robert Sorby oval skew. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in and make my initial V with the pump handle on both things, and I'll come back on both sides and just cut the V out of there. Okay, then I'm just going to come and make the V a bit larger. spindle gouge here that's got a little bit pointy, more pointy on it. I'll just, form my bead there, my little ball. And again, I'm watching the profile develop up here on the top. Sometimes you have to put your hand or something, a piece of paper or something on there just to give you some contrast so you can see against it. Okay, so that's pretty clean on that. So now I want to, this is larger than the center of the ball. I'm going to probably end up cutting that down a little bit, but before I do that, I'll just start scooping out down to that low portion. And you sort of eyeball it, the size of the bead here compared to the narrow part there, and I think I want to make that a little bit narrower down there. Okay, I've tapered that in a little bit there, and I think I may have got my narrow spot a little bit high, but I want to make this bit a bit narrower than this element here, so I'm going to take it in a bit farther. Okay, so I think that's pretty good there. Now just check this. Oftentimes I like to have the bottom of the scotia just slightly smaller than the bead. And it is just a little bit smaller, so I think that's good. The angle here I've got, looking at the angle here, is not quite the same as the angle there, so I'm going to come back and make that angle coming in from here the same as this slope is coming in from here. And that'll make that a little bit smaller than still yet. Yeah, that looks about the same. Okay. Okay, so now we'll do the same thing down here in the lower scotia. And I don't want to have any flat areas, and I have a nice gentle curve down to the narrow spot down there. And I got a little bit of a, right from about here to here, I got a little bit of a hump there. I just need to take that little raised area out there. And I think I want to use, I've got another little skew here. This is another homemade tool. No, again, it's a piece of high-speed round steel from Enco that I just ground off the fashion of skew. Now the skew will give me a nicer, smoother flow through because I get more of a bevel there to ride. Just a little bit of a high spot right there in the center. Feels pretty smooth there. And let's just measure the diameter of that. I want this to be, certainly to be smaller than the diameter of the bead there. And it is it's smaller. So this is just a little bit smaller than that, but each element, as it goes down, gets smaller. I'll start forming the flame. Get rid of a bit more material down here. Just to give me room to work. Okay, you want to come in the same way I did on the finial. I want to define the bottom of that scotia. And then I want the flame to be smaller than that, than the bottom of that scotia. Very good. Like the upper part of the bead over around it. Okay, that's about as far as I want to go until I get it sanded and then can loosen the tailstock up to do more work on that. So we'll go ahead and get it sanded and then do the same sort of finish we did on the finial. Okay, looking down here at the V on the bottom, between the ball and this bottom scotia, not quite as sharp there as I want. So I'm just going to do a little bit of dressing on there to give me a nice sharp definition at the bottom of that V. Okay, we'll go down to about 500-600 RPM and we'll do some sanding. Okay, I'm going to start off with, I get a feeling that they don't feel any ridges at all in there, so I think we're just going to start off with 220. And again, I got my sandpaper folded in thirds. I can refresh and give me a new fresh edge, and then I'm just give it a bit of a curve to sort of fit the shape of the scotia. And we'll put some sanding sealer on it. Oftentimes I'll, well, depends on what big of a hurry I'm in. So sometimes I'll put a coat of sanding sealer on between each bit of sandpaper, just to harden up the fibers a bit. And we'll continue on with 320. Okay, it's dry to the touch. But then just go through the same sort of thing with 320. Okay. We'll do the Scotch-Brite, or Scotch-Brite. One of these. Put some friction polish. Put the speed up a bit higher. And then we'll go to the triple E.
You want that?
400, then we'll continue on with some triple E. Put some triple E on it. And as I was saying, I've tried using the friction polish, putting it on, real lightly per the directions, and then getting it up, getting speed up to get reduced friction and heat. But it seems like I always get a bit of streaks and stuff, and I just have never been very satisfied with the results I get with just the friction polish as a friction polish. And I've been trying this lately, and I think this does a pretty good job at it. If there are any ridges or streaks in the friction polish, this has got abrasive in it, and it will smooth those out, and then it's also got wax that'll polish it. Okay, I'm going to put some kiwi shoe polish. Some of this, it's still a paper towel, but it's more like a cloth. Softer, I think, for buffing. You're seeing here, I got a bit, my V here is a bit larger than this V here, so in hindsight, I'd rather have that V more matched there, but this will do in a pinch. Okay, so I think we're done polishing it and ready to start parting it off. Okay, and then again, to do that, before we get any thinner down there, I want to back the tailstock off to where I'm not driving the bearing. So I've got the bearing stop. So I'm not really driving the bearing is sort of idling along there. Glove out of the way. And then it's just a matter of going down here and just whittling it off with a little bit of finesse, and it should be able to come out with a point down there that's pretty. Got just a little bit of tear out there on the tip of the point. So there's our icicle. Okay, so the next thing to do is to actually finish off the tip of the icicle and the tip of the finial. And to do that, these are my threaded jigs. Get this out of the way. Whenever you're through with the live center, especially if it's got a sharp point on that, unless you want to put a divot in your elbow, it's always a good idea to remove that. So on the threaded jigs, if you watch the pendant, there was a pendant video that we did a couple months ago. But it's a threaded jig. It's threaded to match for this spindle. And then I've got the business end of the jig. I've got a 1/4-inch hole drilled, and then the 45-degree cone. Used as a jam chuck for my finial and icicle. But we had just a little bit. I tore it off. There was a little bit of a tip left on there, so we'll. I don't have my knife, we'll grind that off. Okay, I've got a bit of a loose fit in there. Since this is soft pine, what you can do is if it gets worn out to where it doesn't fit real tight, just coat that inside with thin CA and let it dry, and then come back and just re-drill it and with the 1/4-inch drill and the countersink, and you refresh that hole, get it back down to the size you need. But with this, we'll just put just tear off a little bit of a square of paper towel. And just use that to make the hole smaller. Normally I'd use my little carving knife to get rid of that tip on there, but we'll just use some 180 sandpaper. And then go through the grits, 180, 220. So 300. And 400. Now this, with the, I could go through the sanding sealer and the whole thing, but we'll just, since this is on the very top and it's really not going to see, there's going to be a screw eye in there. We'll just put on a little bit of the friction polish just to seal the wood a little bit, and then we'll just do the buffing with some triple E. Turn speed up. Polish. Okay, and then you need to put a hole in there for our eye screw, our screw eye. We'll go back to the. Now I've seen a lot of people that put up there and go with a skew and mark the center with the skew. I find it just as easy to use the point on the live center. You just make a dimple in there with the point on the live center. And I've got a little hand drill chuck and a handle with a numbered drill bit that matches the size of my eye screw. And then just use that hole that I created for the with the live center. Just go ahead and drill the hole in there. Put an eye screw into these particular eye screws, keep Peachtree Woodworking. You can get eye screws in a number of locations. And there's our finished finial with the eye screw in it. Okay, we'll do the same finishing on the icicle. I need a little square of paper for that too, since it's loose. Just screw it. A little bit of shaping. You can sort of hold that steady with your hands. Just do a little bit of shaping on there. I like that to come down to a bit more of a point on that. It actually tore out a little bit when I was parting it off. Is that showing? And then go through the grits again, 320 and 220, 320 and 400. Sometimes you can hold it. There you go, stay with your other hand. And 400. Still a bit loose. The more layers of paper you get in there, the harder it is to get it to run true. We'll just go straight to the friction polish on that also. Use some triple E. Do some wax. Now, there's our finished icicle. When we put them all together, there we go. There's our quick and easy ornament. Thank you for watching.